Hello and welcome to the churchmemo.com podcast. We are very excited today to bring you an interview with Jesse Bowles, one of my best friends on this planet, one of the most lovable guys you will ever meet, should you have the pleasure. Now, Jesse is at Crosspointe Church in Taylorsville, North Carolina, so they are doing church in a rural setting, and today we wanted to get Jesse's perspective on the coronavirus and how it has changed church for them in the short term, what they are doing to adapt. So without further ado, let's jump right into our conversation with Jesse Bowles. Here we go.
Hey, Jesse, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Wayman. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, good to see you, Jesse. And hey, so I wanted to get on the phone with you today and talk through some of the things that have happened recently with the coronavirus outbreak and how you guys are handling that. So tell us a little bit about the church you're at now versus the church you were at before, because you've worked at like a larger church with cameras and video suites and things, and now you're back in your hometown working at a church that is a little bit smaller but is growing, right?
Sure, smaller and it's amazing. It's not super small. You know, we're probably in that medium-sized church range. We have about 400 folks on the weekends. Total on the weekends is how many we have. And I worked at a church that was not a mega church, not a huge church, but a church that sometimes could average closer to 1,800 folks on the weekend. That church that I had been a part of before was a church that I had been there since the inception, since day one. Started that church with obviously with God's help and some friends, and so been there for 17 years. And this church that I'm at now is in my hometown. I kind of always had a longing to go back to my hometown and to see if we could do something amazing for the people here, and so that's why I'm here. But yeah, it's going great. Church of about 400 folks. We still meet in the school though. We're still a mobile church.
Awesome. So what kind of challenges have you seen as a smaller church with the coronavirus outbreak and having services online instead of in one gathering?
Well, it's been interesting to figure out what to do as far as just a place to have online church for us, because we met a school and schools are shut down, man. So we cannot get in the building anymore, and so we had to find another place to do that. And so setting up what is essentially a little studio here in the offices has been a little bit of a challenge. It took us a week or so to get that together. And every week we've been making some little tweaks, and it's going okay. Probably smoother than I thought. People are tuning in. People are logging in with us and are participating in the services, and the feedback has been really, really good for us.
That's good. So kind of what have you learned so far through all of this? One of the things that I was talking with some folks about even this morning and yesterday is this event, I'm sure this is true for every church, but has shined a giant spotlight, I think, on systems that worked well before the coronavirus outbreak and systems that were broken and that we didn't even know were broken, you know? And so communications wise, especially just learning that I'm in a more rural setting than I was before. And we still legitimately have some people that are just not online. One of the things that's been a challenge too is that some of our folks that are technologically savvy enough live further out. And so they do not have access to high-speed internet. That's a real common thing here. And so it makes it very difficult for them to log on and they may have Facebook that they check while they're at work or while they're in their car, you know, on the phone. But when they get home, and that's where people are right now, they don't have access to high-speed internet. And so it has made it very difficult for them to be able to tune in with us and to watch on Sunday mornings. And so some folks have driven out to parking lots and things so that they can stream the service, which is cool. But also we have some folks that are just some older folks that just have never participated in the internet whatsoever yet. They missed that whole internet revolution altogether. And so making sure that we're doing a good job communicating with them, as I was talking about systems that might be a little bit broken, just come to terms with the fact that we don't have a great way to get in touch with some of these folks. And so that's been a challenge. We've just kind of gone old school with some of it, sit in a room and say, all right, let's make a list. Let's list all the people that we can remember their names, and we may just have to reach out to them and call them and make sure they're doing okay, because we can't email them and they're not accessible to us via Facebook or even text message. Sometimes we have to call them down.
Wow. And are you figuring out ways to get a copy of the sermon or a version of the sermon to them via audio or video or anything?
Yeah, some of the folks, we've just been able to convince them that maybe it's their time to create a fake Facebook account, even if they don't want a real one, so that they can log in with us. My mother would be in that category, Wayne. By the way, we had to have a conversation about that, but yeah, we have been working with them to do that, make sure that they have access. We can deliver stuff to them, and most of them do have access to email. It's just maybe email that they hadn't checked ever before. So we have to walk them through that process a little bit. Yeah, it's been a challenge, but it's been kind of fun too. I've had the opportunity to talk with a lot of people, maybe that I've gotten to know some people via the telephone that maybe I haven't spent a lot of time with yet at Crosspointe Church, and that part's been cool.
Nice. So as this thing continues on and extends out, do you ever see us getting back to normal, like how it was before the quarantine, or do you think this has sort of changed church forever?
You know, I've been saying this since it started. I'm not the only one, but I do think that it's changed church forever. I don't see how. I think this is a new normal, and I think a lot of things will go back to what was normal before, but I think that it's going to be normal with some new additions. You know, I think one of the things that I've seen in talking, I mentioned my mother a little bit ago, talking with people that are in her age bracket. She's in her early 70s. Her church, which is very different than the church where I serve now, it's forcing these smaller churches or churches that are still very traditional, maybe have not used technology a lot to communicate with their people. It is forcing them to have to use technology maybe when they never have before, because it's the only means that they have to communicate with people now. And I think that's not a terrible thing. I think it's a good thing. I think sometimes we need a little kick in the pants to do what needs to be done. And I think for a lot of churches, they reemerge out of this thing more open to using the platforms that are available to them than they ever have been before. And I'm not sure that changes. I think that does sort of stay the same. I also think, though, that people are meant to be together in person. And I'm not a stick in the mud guy that says that online communication doesn't count and that you can't have real friends online and that Zoom meetings don't work for connection. But I still think that people long, and maybe more now than ever, for some face-to-face, honest-to-goodness interaction with people, physical touch. They want to be in the room. And I think people maybe come out of this thing longing for that more than they ever have before. I think that I could see this being a real positive thing for small groups coming in the fall. You know, September, when this thing is fully, hopefully settled out by then, I think people may be more open than they have been to the importance of getting together in people's living rooms and just doing life together. And we'll see if I'm right or not. But I think that could be a real positive thing that comes out of this thing for the church on the back end.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anything else that you'd like to add to encourage fellow churches or fellow church workers?
I would like to say, and this is something that I've been trying to be disciplined about, especially in these last few days, don't miss this opportunity for forced creativity. It's things like this, I think, that force us to have to sit back and be more creative than we've ever been. And this morning, this is not the most creative thing. I ripped some of this off. This morning, I went out and bought, 15 dozen donuts, and I split them into the half dozens, but whatever. I'm going to deliver donuts to about 40 homes over the next couple of days, and along with that, some communion supplies, and along with that, some bingo cards, because I've borrowed this giant bingo machine. So we're going to have some online Zoom bingo, and we're going to have an online Zoom Monday, Thursday service. And this is stuff that we would not have done if it wasn't for Corona. And so my encouragement to people is don't miss this opportunity to do things more creatively. than you ever have. This could turn into something that becomes really beneficial to your church. Moving forward, you may be able to unearth some things that really work well that you might not have ever unearthed if it wasn't been for you being forced to be creative because everybody's locked in their house.
Hey, tell me how you got to online Zoom bingo. I think that's incredibly creative. What's kind of the goal with that?
It's not that creative. I will tell you how I got to it. I was watching the local news, which does anybody do that anymore? I don't do that very often, but I was watching the local news, and there was this clip of Matthew McConaughey doing Zoom bingo with people in a nursing home. And I thought it was hilarious. And I'm like, you know what? I can do that with our students. I think it's corny and it's fun, though. So I'm going to give away some prizes. I'm going to have some pizzas delivered to people's houses and stuff like that. And the very few people we have that actually can. Because we're more rural, we can't deliver stuff. Pizza doesn't deliver there. But we're going to give away some prizes online, and we're going to play bingo. I went and borrowed this giant, like 1945 bingo machine. It's huge, and I'm going to put it up in my house. And I think I'm sort of looking forward to it. But this is going to be Friday night bingo, 8:00. If you want to tune in, Wayne, if you want to join, you can do Zoom bingo with us, bud.
Hey, man, send me an invite. I'm always down for Jesse.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, good deal, man. Any last encouraging words for workers of the church if they're feeling overwhelmed or anything? You're always a very encouraging guy.
Nah, you know what? I have seen so many. This is the thing that has impressed me the most, and I have loved the church doing this right now. Is and I was talking about ripping stuff off from Matthew McConaughey. Don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated by the fact that you cannot do online church as well as anybody. You know, one of the things that I think has been great is these larger churches, the people that were already so ready. It was easy for them to just be up and mobile online. They were ready to go because they do it all the time anyway. I think that they have served as a platform that they have taught all of us how to be better at doing this. And there is nothing in the world wrong with learning from what they do. We have always done that at the church I worked at before, and we're doing it right now. We watch a lot of online church, and those guys are such a beautiful resource. But don't be intimidated by the fact that you can't do it as well as they can. Make small tweaks every week. Let people know that you're working hard to get better at what you're doing. Everybody's learning together. People have been pretty patient right now, I think. But don't be intimidated because you can't do it as well as the big boys. But work hard to improve what you're doing every single week, and God's going to bless that. And this thing's weird. I hope that it's over with soon, but I always know that God's not going to waste an opportunity to bring himself glory. And I look for the ways that God's bringing himself glory in the midst of all this thing with Corona.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jesse. And it was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Talk to you soon, Wayne.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
We hope that you've enjoyed this conversation with Jesse Bowles, one of the pastors at Crosspointe Church in Taylorsville, North Carolina, where they are doing modern church in a rural setting and doing it well. And we hope that you've been encouraged by his story of how the Lord is leading him in this time of coronavirus pandemic and how they are finding their way through and navigating tricky waters. That's going to wrap it up for us today. So stay tuned for more episodes from us. And as always, go lead your church well.